Imagine being born into a legacy you didn't choose. A legacy that's both a curse and a calling. Grady Stiles Jr. was born in 1937 into a family of sideshow performers. His father, like generations before him, had ectrodactyly, a rare condition that fused fingers and toes into claw-like shapes. Known as Lobster Boy, Grady inherited both the condition and the stage name. But behind the bright lights of the Carnival tents, behind the curious crowds and applause, was a life far darker than any sideshow act could ever suggest. Grady's limbs may have resembled claws, but his personality became something far more dangerous. Though his deformity prevented him from walking, forcing him to drag himself using just his upper body, Grady developed enormous strength in his arms, and over time, an uncontrollable rage. He married twice. Both marriages were turbulent, violent. He was an abusive husband and father, and when his daughter Donna announced she was engaged, something inside Grady snapped. In 1978, on the night before Donna's wedding, Grady sat calmly in his home. His soon-to-be son-in-law, Chris Wyant, came over for a visit. What happened next shocked even the police. Without hesitation, Grady pulled out a shotgun and shot the young man point-blank in the chest, killing him instantly. His reason? He simply didn't approve of the marriage? Grady confessed. There were witnesses. But here's the twist. The court believed he was too physically disabled to be imprisoned safely. So they sentenced him to house arrest and probation for murder. The decision haunted everyone involved. Freed from prison, Grady returned home, and his violence only escalated. He drank heavily, he beat his family, he used his condition to avoid consequences, and everyone around him lived in fear, especially his second wife, Mary Teresa. She had remarried him, believing he had changed. But darkness doesn't change, it festers. Years passed, and one night in 1992, Mary decided she couldn't take it anymore. But this time, she wasn't alone. She paid her teenage neighbor, a troubled young man named Chris Wyant, yes, eerily the same name as the man Grady had murdered years earlier, to kill her husband for $1,500. On November 29, Grady Stiles Jr. was sitting in his trailer in Gibsonton, Florida. There was no crowd, no lights, no applause, only a single shot to the back of the head. Grady was dead. But the case didn't end there. The truth spilled out like something from a twisted true crime novel. Mary confessed. So did her son from a previous marriage. The neighbor, Chris, was arrested. The media dubbed it the murder of Lobster Boy. What started as a carnival act ended in a real-life tragedy, soaked in generational trauma, fear, and violence. Grady's legacy is more than a tale of a man with claws. It's a chilling reminder of what happens when horror hides behind the curtain. When those we fear most live not in haunted houses, but under our own roofs. Today, Grady Stiles is buried in Showman's Rest Cemetery, among circus performers and sideshow acts. But his story lives on, twisted, tragic, and unforgettable. If you ever thought monsters only existed in fiction, think again. Did you know his genes passed on? Click above to see his grandson. Also, have you heard the story of Frank Three-Legged Lentini? He had 2 penises, 3 legs, and 4 feet. Click above for the story.